Living that life, we just living that life. Parking plots, living that life, we just living that life.
Evan Teague, full-time, live abroad traveler for 5 years. Me too for 5 years. And you're 25. That's crazy. And I started when I was 25.
Yeah, a few more weeks of being 25, and then, yep. You know how aging works. So the next one, but
okay, so we've done many videos before, but one I kind of wanted to do was the downsides of digital nomadism. So this is actually a video that I stumbled on. Somehow he did a talk in Ubud in Bali, and we're going to talk about some of the downsides of digital nomadism.
We did a little bit of this in Bangkok one time, maybe a year ago. Like we had some of the downsides and kind of...
We did it's called pros and cons. But this one I just wanted to do the pure downsides. Maybe we'll get some clicks, maybe not.
We're going to be negative today.
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to assume something about you. You're an aspiring digital nomad, aspiring traveler, remote worker. And, you already know kind of the positives, the pros of it. So let's just do a video just about the cons, and kind of I'll ask Evan about his experience. So just an outline of it. The downsides of digital nomadism: self-discipline, lack of mentorship, envy and perceptions, lack of sustainable momentum, road fatigue, lack of stability. Is it business or friendship? And yeah, that's it. Those are the notes from this YouTube video that I saw. So I guess we're kind of commenting on this.
There's something about sex appeal down there. I don't know.
Sex appeal was that was kind of the pros that he mentioned, and obviously the pros: work from anywhere and on your own time, be independent, find a flexible work-life balance. And then he said, what are the trends driving digital nomadism? Obviously, massively improved internet. Changing work values. The millennials are placing higher priority on flexible professional lifestyles and personally meaningful work. Yeah, of course. Finding an interesting job that 86% say they're looking for. Yeah, that's cool. The world is much safer post-Cold War, and USD strength. So basically, cost of living being much favorable out here. So those are the pros, I guess. You got me to say the pros. But let's jump into self-discipline. What he says is need for a lot of self-discipline is underestimated. Digital nomads work so hard to get the freedom to work remotely, to live and travel as you please, and then paradoxically, you need the self-discipline to actually get the work done in order to maintain your freedom. Okay.
Yeah, if you want, we can just go through each of those titles and put our own spin on things.
Yeah, exactly. But that was what he said. So what has been your experience with self-discipline?
Yeah, I would say being a digital nomad overall, just like the negatives far outweigh the positives. So if you're thinking about it, definitely don't do it. Honestly, it sucks. I hate my life, and it's like I have to wake up like whenever I want. I get to do whatever I want all day. I have to hang out with people that I really love and appreciate. It sucks, honestly.
What do I do?
Yeah, like what do I do with my life? Like we're just sitting here, vibing as bros, and we've been bros for years. So that's obviously a downside. Getting to do the work that you love and make money when you're sleeping sucks too, because it's like really boring. You want some monotony.
It's like, tell me when you're gonna pay me.
Yeah, like I need this, like consistency and stability. So I hate having a middle manager or not having one. That really sucks. So I would say, if you're thinking about being a digital nomad, just don't, it's awful. But, in all seriousness, I think like in self-discipline in terms of negatives, that's not really a negative for me. That's, that keeps me on my point, on my game, So I like being disciplined. If I'm not disciplined, I'm actually pretty unhappy. Mm-hmm. I like actually having to make myself do what I want to do, because it is what I want to do, but there's a lot of work involved. So the routines and all that, like honestly, that keeps me on my game. So I don't think that's a negative personally, but I'm wired differently than most people, and I don't know. I like work if it's meaningful, like you were just introing. Yeah. So for me, that's not necessarily a negative, but it is a stipulative point of making your own schedule. So you do have to take it on yourself and lead yourself. And if you can't do that, or if you're not entrepreneurial minded, which a lot of people aren't, and that's okay, then it's probably not the best idea. But otherwise, that's my experience with the discipline.
Cool. It's definitely true. You do need to have that self-discipline. That's actually something I've thought about. I'm constantly trying to get better at that. Like, maybe if I had a 9 to 5, maybe I would be a little bit more productive. But I tend to work at my own pace, of course, and I'm a naturally kind of laid back person. So maybe if I like worked in an office at a startup, I would have been getting more done and making more money by now. But like, it's depending on what you value. I value working at my own speed. So yeah, and it does take self-discipline. Yeah, of course. That's just, I guess, a requirement, not necessarily a downside. Next one, lack of mentorship. This is what he said. He said, you don't get ongoing in-person mentorship. There's value in being around someone you want to emulate, and digital nomads with their constant travel schedules simply don't find the right mentor and spend enough time with him or her. There's two types of mentors, those who you want to emulate versus those who have a skill you want to learn. What's your spiel on that?
This one's definitely huge. I think that's spot on, honestly. I've had a very close-knit handful of really, really good mentors over the years, but seeking them out is a whole thing, you know? So you have to find out who you resonate with. I used to be in the beginning, like, anybody who makes way more money than me, like, bro, you're making 10, 20, 30K, whatever, I want to learn from you, I don't care. That's how I was, because I was just hustling. I was like, I want that. Like, you're doing that, I want that. As simple as that, and that was my only requirement. And then I feel like I grew up a little bit more, kind of rounded out my personality, and I was like, yeah, money's good. Obviously, if you can make those good numbers, that's great. But if you find someone who you're just emulating, like you said, just because of that, that's kind of shallow, and you're not going to learn a lot from that person unless you really, like, you should be willing, not actually, but, you know, pretty much to the close level of being able to trade lives with those people. Ask yourself, would I want their life? You know, you don't have to have everything dialed in, every single, you know, like, whatever, if they're married and you're not or whatever, like, something like that's kind of, like, irrelevant unless you want to learn from them with relationships. But, you know, overall, if you see inside and out their life, is it good? Is it great? Is it what you would like to emulate? Would you switch with them? Then that's kind of my question now. So, yeah, I would say lack of mentorship can be a big problem because you really don't know who to learn from and you don't know who's for real. A lot of fake gurus and, like, a lot of people will tell you all these screenshots and this, that, and the other, and you hear all this rumors or people just flashing or whatever. It's like, you really have to dig deep and go to the core of who the person is, and not only like what they're doing, but how they're doing it, because how you make your money matters. You know, you have to be obviously providing value and doing a legitimate business model rather than just being a guru for a living or whatever. So I think the line is very gray, and once you find a good option, then you should definitely like go double down with that person. But when you do, it can be super, super valuable.
In person.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is kind of interesting. On the flip side, you can definitely argue that finding a mentor that is someone who you would like to emulate is easier as a digital nomad because, well, let's say after you come out to a digital nomad hotspot, you're much more likely to meet someone who's in person, obviously. It's the only chance to meet someone in person who's actually living the digital nomad lifestyle, you know, if that's your goal. Yeah. So yeah, like even Evan's been like a freaking mentor to me. Like, he reads all the books and he teaches me. And you could say that, like, one of our first mentors, or one of my first virtual mentors, you know, was Johnny. And so it started as virtual, and then it came out to Chiang Mai, and then became like in person. Not that he's like an official mentor of me, but like, yeah, you get what I'm trying to say. And then the other thing is just my overall take on mentors. Of course, there's unlimited virtual mentors now, because like Tim Ferriss, you could say, is the first digital nomad mentor. He invented, you know, kind of this remote work thing with the 4-hour work week. So lack of mentorship, like having a virtual mentor, like someone you follow, like an author, you know, Tim Ferriss or whoever it may be. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, this guy's talking about lack of in-person mentorship. It's based on someone whose life you want to emulate, because that's what like they say, be mentored by someone whose life you actually want to live. And like, I'm just thinking back home, if you're living in one city, the people around there most likely are going to be living, you know, quote unquote regular lives. You know what I'm saying? Let's say you work for a startup or whatever, Silicon Valley, and your mentors around you are going to be, you know, obviously rich guys, most likely, super successful. Maybe they're the really interesting types, like the Tim Ferrisses, who do travel often and live interesting lives, or the Elon Musks. I mean, he's like a crazy anomaly. But I think anywhere, whether it's back home in your home country or here, it's still hard to find that one person that's living the life you want. So I guess, assuming that you're watching this, you're looking towards a digital nomad lifestyle. I mean, it's going to be hard to find someone who's living that lifestyle you want to live back home, right? Just as hard.
Plus, we're just passing this back and forth because with this mic, apparently, it doesn't sound great unless we're holding it and speaking right into it. So just so you guys like, we would put this thing down, but we can't. But anyway, so I would say also we're all out on our own. So basically, like it's just kind of you. And, you have your friends, you're all doing different stuff. Sometimes it can be very similar if it's a business model or if you guys are meeting up to network or going to an event that's always like wrapped around the same thing like SEO or something. But you're still out on your own, still just you. So like you fail or succeed on your own kind of, so we do have a supportive network that runs now internationally, which is dope. But like if you don't have in-person mentorship, you don't find that person, you don't consistently go to them. Like I would say also virtually is great, if you can't have anything, but in person beats the crap out of virtual, like any day of the week. Like it's just not even a comparison, because the way that you can watch someone in person or when you're collaborating with them or whatever, you see their body language and you see the way their eyes move, the way they think, the things that they say, their vocab, whatever it may be. You're watching that person and you're by osmosis picking up these subtle subconscious cues that, they think about like this, and then things start registering in your mind, and then you start thinking differently, and it's like some people, I always say, like you can bounce off them and there's a kind of a trajectory that goes a different direction forever. So you're coming from this way, you bounce off another person, and all of a sudden you go on a different trajectory that you'll never be the same in some quality of your life for. And that's happened to me multiple times. Johnny would be one of those people. There's dozens of others. A dozen of even just a one-off conversation you might have with someone, and you casually discover they're making like 6 figures in revenue a month or something, and they're just like, I've been doing this for 5 years already. It's like just like nonchalant, I just make 6 figures every month, like no worries. So like if you're actually modeling those types of people and the way that they think about problems, the way they have solutions for them, the way that they think about their time and their value and their network and all that, you start to pick up those things by osmosis.
Yep. And physically in person, face to face, you definitely can meet a lot of like people making multiple 5 figures or 6 figures a month in Chiang Mai and Bali. And then I will bring up that there's another form of in person, which is via Zoom calls and phone calls. That's also almost as good as in person, face to face, because as we know, being location independent, you're not always in the same place. So, but there is now becoming so many great, mentors that you can get just via Zoom calls. Just to have that regular setup where they call you every week, or you have scheduled 3 calls a week. Like Gavin's doing, he's got his mastermind going, like Matt Laker's doing, they have their mastermind going. That's a virtual mentorship program. Actually, they have, in their school, in their business, whatever program, they have multiple mentors who lead these calls, and they're specialized in different things. So it's absolutely no excuse to not have a mentor, to not have that accountability person that ideally is running the business that you want to run and living the life that you want to live. There's no excuse. I have many friends who do this. It's basically either it's a one-on-one thing where they have scheduled weekly calls, or it's a group coaching and group mentorship thing with weekly scheduled calls where you're held accountable. You have to update what you've done that past week. You set milestones. If you're not checking those milestones, you get shamed or kicked out or whatever. So there's plenty of options.
Negatives. There's negative social pressure in those groups to not perform. So I think that's the important thing. When you're accountable, then they're like actually checking on you. And then the last thing that I would add for mentorship is that make sure you find someone you want to emulate. But arguably more important is that make sure you can vet the results that person has gotten in the specific discipline. So if like you're learning from an e-commerce mentor or whatever, like anybody can slap that on their Instagram bio and be the guy. And like, get some cool pictures and like, rule some people in and whatever. So like, make sure that you know somehow that you can vet their system. You know, talk to people that have gone through it. Don't just read testimonials. You know, see if you can talk to some other customers or find some actual like proof, like video proof or screenshots or something. Even those can be manipulated or whatever. You know, so I'm saying like make sure that you can find the right thing that you're looking for in terms of skill base instead of just swallowing it whole and just believing everything that there is there in their marketing. Because otherwise, I don't know, I think we've both seen a lot of people go down the wrong path with that, where it's just like you just buy some course for way too much money that you don't really have, and you make too much of a risk or a commitment, and it's not the right thing because they don't teach you what you're trying to learn or something like that. I mean, there's so many things going around like that is like, it's pretty important that you pick the right person that you want to learn from. So, yeah, I would just say vet their results. That'd be very important.
Yeah, which is pretty easy. You just, go to their Facebook group, message someone, look at their testimonials. It's pretty easy nowadays with social media to figure out if someone's legit, and I would say the vast majority of people are legit. It's pretty hard to fake it for pretty long. Honestly, I don't know too much what you're talking about with that. Okay. Most courses are going to be legit. Like, do you have anything like specifically like courses that are like?
Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is that there's a lot of big fake gurus nowadays who are like technically huge and big and whatever, but they're making a ton of money off their courses, and some of them,
but they're not actually doing the.
They're either not doing that model anymore, or it's just like basic stuff that you can learn. If you're going to invest in something like that, make sure that it's like very specific and focused, and you're willing to give it a good like 6 months of solid effort, to learn from that person if they're legit. That's all. Because there's just been too much tomfoolery these days. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Got it. Yeah, make sure ideally they're still doing that business model and they're not just teaching and not doing it themselves. Yeah. Okay, on to the next one. Envy and perceptions. So he says, you want to show people on social media how amazing it is, your work environment, and yet you don't want your employer to see it because they might doubt your work product or fellow employees to become envious. Just because you're in paradise doesn't mean your workday is any shorter. I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
I don't know about envy and perception. I don't really trip on people's hate or whatever. Like, I don't think we have a whole lot of people that are negative in our network, to be honest, at all. Like, me and Riley, personally, we have really no time for that type of person. And all the friends back home are pretty damn supportive. But I will say this. People back home that haven't done this don't know what you're doing. And they're not gonna. And that's fine. But you just got to know that. Because you can explain it like a million times and say what you're doing and this is that. Or like, and they still sometimes will sum it up to like, oh, like you're traveling or you're like seeing new countries or like you're backpacking or like, you're working for a company out there or something. Like, nobody really quite knows because they can't really put their hands on it. And that's okay. Like, again, they don't have that perception. Perception's relevant here. Like, they don't have that first person perspective, which of course you wouldn't. Like, if you went out to work in the minefields or something for a long time, like you don't know how that is until you go there and get on a truck with the rest of the guys and go work. Like, you just don't know what that's going to look like. And before I got here, it was like just this kind of enigmatic cloud. I had no idea what was on the other side of the cliff, So potentially, yeah, it could have been anything. So I think that's where they're coming from. So you can explain it. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm, living out there. This is how I live. This is my spot. Nice pool, cool apartment, good place. We could travel wherever, we work wherever. But it doesn't really sink in until you at least like come see it visually, I think, honestly. Like, because I don't know about you, but I've had that same block with a lot of my friends from back home. They just don't quite grasp exactly what's going on or like why you'd want to do it until they're here. Yeah.
And I did a video with Chris about this, expanding on his recent video, At Home Life versus Nomad Life. Yeah. It's he just basically said, some people, they just don't get it. Yeah. Some people do. Obviously, remote work is getting more popular and popular, but envy and perceptions. Yeah, I guess that's a thing. If you're worrying about what people think, then actually that's kind of on you, right? Because that's in your own head, worrying about what other people think. So just stop worrying about what people think. And of course, that's another thing if you're actually employed and you're trying to hide the fact that you're living in another country, which is people wouldn't recommend, and or hide the fact that to your clients that you're actually a digital nomad. I think most freelancers would definitely recommend not hiding that. Be like open and honest. Yeah, I'm a remote worker. Oh, why are you in Bali? Yeah, like for my Amazon clients. Yeah, it's a remote work hub these days. It's like the outsourced Silicon Valley. It's like and you can live off of, you know, half the cost of living, and it's a remote work hub. Then they go, oh, cool, and like on to the next fucking thing.
Yeah. For me, not only that, I like to use that in my clients' marketing type. I mean, it's like you tell them what you're doing. It's not like to brag or to show off or whatever. You just like actually share that with them, and like kind of adds a little bit of value, as in like you show them something that you think that they might like, right? So every client, you're ideally, before you close them, you're building empathy and rapport with them, right? So maybe you learn that they like to, I don't know, contribute to nonprofits for schools or something, right? And then like you have a friend who's doing that out in Bali, for instance. Like I'm just pulling this example randomly. Like I have a friend who does these marathons. So it's like, you know, maybe I send him a clip of the marathon or something that I'm helping with or whatever, you know, and it's like local and it's up their alley, and that adds value and interest and intrigue, and it's also a good way to follow up and stay in front of the clients, because sometimes if you don't have good, clear communication with them, then you can kind of fall off, or, you know, things get choppy or whatever. So I just build it into my practice, honestly. Like I just like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, and yeah, most people are cool with it also, and then they just adapt to your time zones, and as long as you can figure out the time that you might have for calls or something, then otherwise you're fine. I think most people are just like, oh, wow, that's cool, like, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And true story, like, I probably, like, 4 or 5 clients, like, when I tell them, like, I'm working remotely out in Thailand, they're like, oh, you're doing the digital nomad thing, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, man, totally. Like, this was my dream, and, like, I figured it out. They're like, oh, wow, that's so cool, you know? And one guy's actually like, yeah, I'm actually thinking about doing a work remote year. I'm like, you know, he runs an online business. Yeah. Totally cool. Yeah. And, like, probably 3 more people have been like, oh, that's cool. Are you a fan of Tim Ferriss? I'm like, they think I am Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss Jr.
And like, a couple guys have been like, oh, yeah, man, I read the 4-Hour Workweek. That's so cool. I love Tim Ferriss.
Yeah.
Like, and they a lot of people really get it. But, of course, there'll be some people that are like, oh, you're in Thailand? Oh, we're working remotely? Okay, they just don't get it. But, like, why are you worrying about them? So, anyway. Envy and perceptions, that's up to you. You know, it's all in your own head, I guess. He says, just because you're in paradise doesn't mean your work day is any shorter. But the whole thing of working remote and being your own boss that's up to you. You know, we know a lot of guys that, you know, work the long hours, but that's totally up to them if they're their own boss. Okay, next point. Lack of sustainable momentum. Bullet point number 1. Digital nomads rarely spend more than 2 to 3 months at a time in one place. I would say on average that's probably the opposite. I'd say
it depends.
But yeah, it depends on you. Yeah. So they don't get the time to develop needed connections and relationships on the ground. I'd say for average for us in one place is like 6 months to a year. Yeah, so, and I think it depends who it is. Yeah. I would guess off the top of my head, maybe like half of nomads are totally slow people like that. 6 months to a year. You know, yeah.
Some people literally don't leave. Like, there's a lot of full-time.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, like, for the past 5 years, they've been most of the year in Chiang Mai, you know. Bullet point 2, you got to maintain a stable client base. If you're freelancing, then that takes a lot of work. Number 3, does it give you the chance to become so good that the market can't ignore you? Yeah. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a bunch of random stuff here, but, like, I don't know.
First one, we already touched on that.
Yeah.
Second one, you got to maintain. You got to keep getting clients.
Yeah. Until you have certain ones that pay you on retainer, and you keep them and keep doing good work for them. But, anyways, sustainable momentum for me, honestly, that just means like staying in one place for a long enough time to get work done. And I don't know about you guys or most people that do this, but personally, I like to work at least 2 to 3 months in one place. That's like the minimum. I wouldn't, if I like a place, I'm going to stay there for at least 3 months, hopefully, because first of all, I don't want to like deal with bouncing in and out all the time of the country, dealing with visas and doing border runs, and like it's a big opportunity cost if you don't have to do it. Second of all, if you can get a chunk of time like that, 3 months, 4 months, 5, 6 for work, then you get a routine just like you did or just like you would if you were at home. You know, like if you're from, I don't know, like California or whatever, and you have your little office going, and, you know, you go here and go there and go to the gym on the way home, and you eat this famous restaurant, whatever, right? You're going to do the same thing out here on your motorbike. So you're going to be going to the same co-working spot or office or whatever you want. You know, you're going to be working out of wherever you want in your gyms or whatever you choose. It's going to be the same type of thing, just a routine out here. So I need that routine personally to do work. And like even the last 6 months of last year, I was working like really solidly with really good momentum in Bali, but I wasn't grinding. I was working like 4 or 5 hours a day. and I was making good money with clients, and I was traveling just minimally to stay in Bali for a while. And then, it was really easy. But the point is that I got the routine, because it was easy after I got the routine dialed. So that's personally for me. That momentum is necessary. And then also there's the momentum of working on one project at once. You can really go deep with one project if you're in a country and you know where your routine is going, for work and gym and health life and all that. And then you can just pile drive all your effort and focus and momentum into one direction. That's what I like to do personally. And then when I'm done with that, I might bounce out somewhere else and enjoy, even 2 weeks, a month, or whatever, and really not press the gas as much. But yeah, Cal Newport talks a lot about this with deep work. So this kind of he's the one who kind of introduced that deep work concept, where you just sprint basically and you take little breaks, and I'm a big proponent of that. Once I do little sprints, 45 minutes to an hour or less, even sometimes take a break for 20, come back for 30 to 45, whatever, and then really just go deep. Then I do about 4 or 5 of those, and that's 4 or 5 hours of work total of time. And I track it and make sure I'm there very, very efficient. That's all you really need. So that's the momentum part. That's really important.
Nice. Very interesting. So lack of sustainable momentum. I would say, see, you're interesting when you say that thing, I need to be somewhere for 3 to 6 months just to be able to focus and be productive. Yeah. Everyone has their own realm where they're most productive. Yeah. And what I said to you in Starbucks, I was like, dude, anywhere there's a Starbucks, I'm productive. Yeah, I don't care if I'm somewhere for one day. And so that's another way to look at it is, a lot of people would say, why are you only productive when you know you're going to be in that same city for the next 3 months? Why are you thinking about the future? Why should just be present in the moment? It's you and your laptop and your coffee or your tea, whatever. Just be productive. It's your laptop, So a lot of people would say that, including me. I don't care, if it's a random cafe or a hotel or co-working space. If I got coffee, I don't always need it, but kind of addicted, I guess a lot of people would admit, and a laptop and some music and Wi-Fi, obviously, I'm in. Yeah. I don't care. So that's up to you where you're most productive. Up to you. Let's see. Yeah, road fatigue, which is kind of the same point. He says, the amount of time needed to ramp up and ramp down in a location is underestimated, and there's a high cost to constantly planning travel and work and basic living. There are multiple unforeseen factors, internet issues, transport issues with getting A to B, housing issues. But not really. Amount of time needed to ramp up and ramp down in a location.
Let me cover this one.
Okay.
I think this is a better one for me to answer first, at least, because I think you don't really feel this at all. You're just saying you can just pop in any Starbucks and whatever.
Very laid back. It doesn't really faze me.
I'm the same way, as in if I want to get work, I'll turn my brain on and I'll get to a Starbucks and work. It's not a problem. It's just that's not optimal for me. And so for me, I actually like to do everything optimized as I can. So here he's talking about internet, good night's sleep, housing, A to B, transportation. Those are all relevant factors to me. This is the exact stuff that I'm talking about personally. If I get to a country and I've never been there before, especially, then I'm going to have to find where all the good spots are, or at least enough to get my stuff, get my bearings with me. And then the ramping up and ramping down, it's just an example. When I came from Bali to Chiang Mai just this recent time, I've got to let go of my house and figure out the dates and make sure I'm paid up for that. And then go return the bike, it's not big things, but they add up. And then of course there's other stuff you're working on. So you might be packing late one night or something. And then you have a full day of travel or whatever. Those are things that are going to kind of take crunch time out of your day. So it's really hard to do that when you're just bouncing around and traveling and whatever. So I see what he's saying for sure. And for me, I enjoy traveling, but I like to do the long stay. I think we're all doing the long stay. It's the long travel, the slow travel. Yeah. So, when we're talking about this stuff, it's not that I have to have those things or else I'll die and I can't work and I'll just be out of the zones. It's I would like to optimize everything ideally as much as I have the degree of control over my environment for that. So, and then that will help me get really focused, really good, deep work done. And then, like I said, like I do the 80-20 as much as I possibly can. Like you can't do it all the time, but I try to focus on the 20% that's getting me the 80% results, and then literally just throw everything out, or outsource it, or just get rid of that for my thing. So I really have just 2 or 3 things a day to do per day usually. So I can see what he's saying. I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. Yep. Totally got it. You guys get him. You guys get me. You guys get it. And it's very worth noting that you are a high-ticket, high-level copywriter, which is direct response sales copy. So when you're writing these like email sales letters for clients and stuff, you have to get deep inside of the mind of the client and like think really deeply. So that goes hand in hand with everything that he's saying. Especially, I write Amazon listings for clients, too. I really need to be in the zone. I really need to be feeling it. If I'm not in the mood to write copy, I can't do it. That's why I tell my clients, I'm like, I need to pencil this into my calendar, block out a whole day, go to a nice place, sip coffee, put on my writing cap, and fucking get chipping away. But I think you guys get it. But as we've said, I think most digital nomads typically stay in a place for a good amount of time. Then again, once per year or twice per year, we go on a backpacking trip like across Europe, where typically we'll stay in one place for like 3 or 4 or 5 days, and then go to Paris, and then go to Barcelona, whatever. And obviously, when you're touristing, traveling like that, some days we don't work, some days are half days, some days we're just like, all right, this is a work day. But the overall philosophy of being your own boss is your schedule is up to you. And then next point is lack of stability. Your routines are constantly in flux and changing. It's stressful without having a home base. It's hard on your body. We kind of already talked about that. All of that, hard on your body. What would you say hard on your body?
No, not really. Hard body. Roy Jones Jr.
Hard on your body, all this humidity.
It's hard.
Oh, my skin.
Yeah, it's hard to be in like a perfectly tropical climate with great sunshine every single day. Nah, I don't know. It depends. It's like travel, like a long day of travel will kick it out of you. That's for sure. If you're on a flight for like 12 hours, that's not fun. I mean, I don't know. It is fun, but it'll still take it out of you.
Knowing me, philosopher Plies, I like to keep the big picture in mind. He's talking about hard on your body. He's talking about like long flights and traveling often and like backpacking style, like quick travel here for a few days, there for a few days. Maybe you're like touristing, partying, cross country flights. Yeah, because hard on your body meaning like maybe a little bit less sleep, maybe airports and all that. All right, so what I was saying, the big picture is someone who wants to be a digital nomad, be their own boss, be a remote worker, come live in another country for a while. Comes from a lot of people for a love of travel. Like a lot of us, we just love travel. We love travel. And I think a lot of you too. I think if you ask anybody in the world, I think they're pretty much going to say, I love traveling. And I was thinking about this yesterday. Here's one way to look at being a digital nomad. It's just someone who loves to travel. Like, how people back home, let's say someone loves motorbikes or loves, racing cars. What are they going to do? They're going to hopefully be doing that a lot. So a lot of people really love travel. So what would someone do if they really love travel, like it a lot? They would probably hopefully travel a lot, So I really love traveling. What are my favorite things? And I love to travel so much, I'm traveling 11 months of the year. It's one way to look at it.
Or 12 because you go home and that's still traveling.
Yeah, and so that's one way to look at it. If you ask someone back home, like, you love traveling, right? Yes. If you could travel a certain amount per year, how much would you travel? No limits for your job. Just like take vacations as often as you want and as long as you want. How much of the year would you be traveling? And then you'd get someone like really thinking. They'd be like, no limit? All the time? You know, some people might say all the time. So like, what's all the time? 11 months of the year, 10 months, 6 months, 3 months. So that's, anyway, one way to look at digital nomadism. But anyways, it's hard on your body. Yeah, some of these downsides of traveling have their little downsides, but most people who are traveling in the first place love traveling. So they do it because they love it. So obviously far outweighs like getting sleepy in the airport or not being able to sleep on the plane, like whatever. Okay, next bullet point. Is it business or friendship? He says, when meeting someone new and there's potential to work together, it's a mixed bag of motives, especially if you're starved for money. Is it friendship or a business relationship? And then he says, clear communication and boundary setting can be challenging, especially when doing a business with friends. Saying no is okay. Are we working together or is it a favor? Even a referral isn't a no and can create complications.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo, what I think about that?
I think that it's true. Like, sometimes you don't know who you want to work together with or who you want to just be friends with or whatever. Maybe, like, I've had this happen, too, where a lot of my friends know I'm a copywriter, so they're like, yo, can we get some copy for our brand? Because we're all entrepreneurs, so they need something here or there. And, like, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, you know, no. But I just like to keep friends, honestly. Like, I feel like sometimes it can get pretty bad. And, all right, so this, just to key you in today, we've gone through no less than 5 spots. No less than 5 spots. We went to a coffee shop, another coffee shop was closed. We went to another area in the different coffee shop. There's only like 500,000 people like choosing to build houses today. Cutting metal and hammering and, you know, using the drill in all types of copious different locations. So now we got screaming children. So you know what? You're just going to have to deal with it. And you can't blame us because we found 5 different spots. Yeah. Biggest downside to traveling is screaming children. So anyways, I would say for that is like friends. It just depends. You have to find who you're down with, who you're cool with. If they're going to be good friends for the long term, you might not want to jeopardize that with the business deal that could go south. I know with him and several other people, like they already have their business partners, and their business partners are their closest friends, and we all know each other. And so it's like, you know, that's okay. If you can choose to be with the friends that you've been with for the longest time, then it's like whatever, you know. It's up to you. As the Thai say, up to you.
Up to you.
I like
up to you. Yeah, the biggest downside of Chiang Mai per today is trying to find a quiet spot to film a Grod Sham interview.
Yep, a really nice, quiet one.
Chiang Mai, see, Southeast Asia, it's developing so fast that there's construction on every block. So even if you think you found a quiet place, they're building a new building next door, fucking saw hammering. And even if you find a nice pool, there's going to be kids enjoying the pool. You know, can't complain about that, which is the whole philosophy, the whole big picture about all these things. Yeah, you can complain about low things, but, like, we're not going to complain about low things. Like, we're living our dream job, of course. So if this is your dream job, then, yeah, it's you're living your dream job. Don't complain about the little things.
It's a quotable from Riley. Yeah, you could complain about the little things, but we're not going to complain about the little things.
Yeah.
You could do that.
You could. You could. No, yeah, we're definitely not complaining. I mean, this was this other guy's video, but I figure it was good to address these, because like every single video I have is like, oh, freaking living that life so great. So I mean, it's at least good to address these little things. But some people's mindsets, they like don't even focus on the negative things at all. It's like really up to you. And I guess I'm one of those people. Like, I guess I'm freaking an overly happy guy. Like, sure, I don't even like, I'm positive about everything. You could call me an optimist. You could call me an idealist. I'm overly positive about everything. Like, even when I fly home, those 12-hour flights, I'm just like, they don't faze me anymore. Because I'm being truthful. They don't faze me anymore.
I like that.
They don't faze me anymore, those long flights. And some people are like, positive petunias. Some people are negative Nancy's. I'm just going to keep focusing on the positive things. But, so, it's not quiet and perfect weather all the time. Here we have freaking sounds going on all around until I get my own podcast studio. Yeah, dealing with friends. Yeah, sometimes it can be great. Sometimes it can be not great. It really depends. Obviously, I started a business with my best friend, and that dynamic works. But some people, it's not the best idea. Or whatever. Yeah. Biggest downsides: not finding quiet space in Southeast Asia, and you can get a little sweaty sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're also going to all public places.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why isn't this public coffee shop renovated for us? What the hell?
Yeah, why isn't this coffee shop or public space perfectly quiet for my freaking video, guys?
Oh my God, first world problems.
What's up? Yeah, and I'm glad you said first world problems, because like anything about this, you could just be like, yeah, first world problems. Yeah. Like, it's hard to find a business partner, first world problems. Oh, it's hard to find a freaking housing. First world problems. It's hard to find a perfectly great shelter.
Which isolated Balinese villa do I want with the pool? Yeah. Oh God, this one gets a little too much perfect sun all day. Jeez.
Which magical flying bus can I find on Google Flights that's like in my budget? Yeah. Oh my God.
I'm gonna have to sit in this chair while I soar over all types of countries. Watching TV and drinking Chardonnay. Oh, this sucks.
Oh my God, it's so hard on my body.
Yeah, this is hard.
Wow.
I feel so aged. Oh God, I aged at least 5 years. I will say, being out here for 5 years has definitely aged me 5 more years.
Really? Why?
So no, because that's it. I age normally, and 5 years is 5 years later. I'm feeling 5 years older. So that's something to watch out for. So if you're gonna do this for 10 years, then you might age 10 more years. On this side of the world.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Being a digital nomad for 5 years, the biggest downpour side is like it's gonna take 5 years from your life. Like, anyway, I will say this. Now that we're talking about the 5 years, like it's 2020. Let's all be huge hindsight 2020. Evan dropped out of college when he was sophomore year, and he got to start this lifestyle at 20. I started this lifestyle 2 years after I graduated. I started at 25, and now I'm 30. Hindsight 2020, I'm like, I wouldn't mind being 25.
Yeah, me neither.
I wouldn't mind being 25. Now I'm like, shit. So, obviously, I had no idea what a digital nomad was in college. But now maybe you're a teenager and you do know. So, I guess I would say to my past self, everything hindsight 2020. Yes, I did have more fun in these past 5 years than I did my 4 years of college, and 100x more experiences and interesting things. And after this last 4 years, 5, whatever, now I make over 10K a month in my business instead of paying 10K, a quarter for whatever. Instead of coming out of college with zero money. If you get started on your own small online business, instead of coming out in debt, you can potentially come out of your next 4 years after high school making a bunch of money with your small online business instead of being in debt.
Something we always talk about is this, like, sophomore year or whatever, like, oh yeah, like back when we were in Saigon in 16, that was like our sophomore year, but then like we hadn't really followed up on it at all, like, so we were well graduated now.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever, but like we don't think about that. Like when we've hung out the several times in between, like maybe 2018, 19, and 17 even, like we weren't even really, I don't know, we kind of lost track of that. Like it was just such a normal thing that it was like, yeah, well, we used to compare this to that 4 years in college. So I would say, now that it's been 4 years already, it's like this is what it takes to do a different lifestyle and change it completely. And now it's like there's no real going back because this is our normal lifestyle. So that's cool. It just takes time, and it took us like probably less than 4 years, to be honest, to really get acquainted with this life. Like really, we're like inundated with the new norm after like a year or two. I'd say like it was just like normal. So I don't know. It just also proves, like you said, you're making 10K consistently. It's like after that, 4 years or whatever that you put in, the grind, the working, the learning, the studying, the mentorship, and all the stuff we mentioned today. It's like after a while that solidifies into results. So, yeah.
Some people, it resonates with, if you're still listening or watching this, I'm assuming it resonates with you. I think I felt it was the new normal after 6 months or a year. I mean, or like as soon as you see a YouTube video, you could be like, oh yeah, that's their new normal. Oh yeah, totally get it now. That's the new normal. Like, why am I still living this like one city all the time, year round, year after year after year? Like, oh yeah, it's all about the multiple cities, work wherever. You know, of course, have your small online business, start to scale it to a big online business. As far as getting results, I said this on the video with Chris yesterday. If you're wondering how to be a digital nomad, like Riley, yep, I'm down. But how do I do it? How do I earn remotely? There's 3 categories: be a freelancer, a remote employee, or a business owner or / investor. But if you don't have big money to start, you're going to have to start your own small online business. So I guess you could say this video is sponsored by my freaking Digital Nomad beginners course, my beginners mini course that I made for all you guys that asked me, Riley, I don't know what's out there, don't know the opportunities, don't know which online business to start. So I break it all down for you in a bunch of lectures. I put my professor cap on and explain all the top 10 business models like Amazon FBA, dropshipping, high ticket and low ticket, freelancing, how to be a remote employee if that's an opportunity for you, how to start a digital marketing agency, Kindle and audiobooks, doing online courses, becoming an influencer, which I think a lot of us, if that excites you, you should be building that on the side for the long term, like how I'm doing. And yeah, I explain all the business models real simply. What's the upfront money investment? What's the realistic time investment? What's the realistic amount of time to where you're going to start making a few K consistently per month, to where you can like live out in Southeast Asia-ish. And yeah, I lay it all out there. So if you don't know where to start and you want to be a digital nomad, check that out in the description. Also, if you do want to sell on Amazon and you've been looking at selling on Amazon because you want to do what I do, you follow me for that. Don't wait. Enroll in my Amazon school. I have an Amazon school that will teach you how to create your own product that's unique, list it on Amazon, and make thousands and thousands a month, like our business does. Okay, now that we got my own schools as the sponsor out of the way, the more students we can take from colleges and get them into my schools and independent entrepreneur schools, the better. Let's take money away from these college guys, not give them to
Poaching.
Yeah.
Poaching the college kids.
Yeah. Let's take the money away from the for-profit colleges and get them into a specialized online school, online course that will teach you how to not need a job. Instead of teach you for $100K, you pay them $100K to learn how to get a job. Anyways. I'm just a fucking rambling preacher out here. Anyways, his last section says, solutions. Have a plan and reliable remote income before you jump. Stay in one location for a regular 3 to 6 months of the year. Then use that as a base to travel ideally from. It's helpful to actually stop being nomadic. Instead, start to think of yourself more of an expat. Find others who are also long-term expats and not temporary digital nomads. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what most people end up doing because, yeah, like you said, it makes sense. I don't even think of that as a solution. It's just kind of do it makes sense, do it feels good, and socially being in somewhere 3 to 6 months makes way more sense because then you can meet actual good friends, have actual good relationships, be a part of the crowd. So yeah, that's the solution, I guess.
Yeah. Let's say what was the first one again? Have a plan. Oh yeah.
Reliable income before you jump.
That's arguably the most important point of today. Honestly, I think most people are that want to do this type of stuff are thinking about it, and they're thinking about how to learn from who and what courses to take and which planes to stop talking for and things like that.
Definitely stop for this one. Yeah. It looks like another big plane.
Yeah. And also, what they want to do with their lives in terms of, living nomadic and working online, that's important for sure. But it's kind of there's two sides to this. You could come out here and spend the money you have and try to make it. That's one thing. I've done that, and a lot of other people have done it. But most people end up going home because it's difficult. Things come up. You can't predict project what's going to happen to your life. You have no idea. And what type of roadblocks, especially when you add traveling in a new country and starting a business and trying to work for yourself, and especially if you're learning how to be an entrepreneur and making those mindset shifts, that takes time as well. So yeah, try to, take what we're giving you here and do some work with it. And then once you work on yourself and build yourself up to the level where you're able to earn a little bit of money off your efforts, and you kind of know what you're doing on providing value in a business, then you'll be able to trickle in some income, on that new hustle, the side hustle that will be your main thing for a while, or after a while. But I would say definitely get that dialed first. As little as you can, really, or as little as you can live off of, like $500, $1,000. Try not to do 500. Like if you can make $1,000 a month, and you can do that consistently for 3 to 6 months before you get here, at least, then yeah, do that, and then you'll know that you have your bases covered. And you're not like starting something totally new when you get here. Like everything doesn't have to be brand new when you come here. Like you can, start doing some stuff at home, develop the groundwork, and then you're gonna need money to travel. So you don't want to like just hope that things all work out and pray that they do. I mean, I did that, but I also worked way hard. Like I just like basically lived at the co-working space for 6 months and was there at 5 a.m. and left at midnight every day. And I don't know, I burned myself out a lot. So I wouldn't recommend that, but it is a thing you can do. I just didn't know what I was getting into quite yet, but I would definitely do the path of making some at home before you come.
Yeah, that's obviously ideal, and yeah, of course, you need money to travel. Yeah. I mean, you just need money to live. So this situation depends on how much money you have saved up. This is what I say when people ask me, should I quit my job? When's the right time to blast off? It depends on how much money you're currently making at your job per month, how much you're saving per month, how much you currently have saved in your bank account, and how far along you are with your side hustle. So all those combined, you need to make your own decision. And then also your home situation. Do you have responsibilities that you need to be there for, like taking care of families or pets? Or do you have an apartment lease that you sublet, or a car lease that you can't sublet your car or sell the car or whatever? It's all these life situations. So yeah, it's friggin' up to you. There's no easy answer for that. And then have a plan and reliable income, I would say, or don't have a plan and don't have any income. It's up to you. You can do it any way you want. It's all up to you. I came here with a plan. I had a drop shipping store, but I didn't have any income online coming before I came to the conference out here. Yeah, so that's up to you. I had 8K when I came out. I wish I had more. It took me about 6 months to, I started FBA right when I got here, and it took me about 6 months to start making $1,000 or more consistent income. But, some people, but yeah.
Sorry to cut that off, but just important thing to notice is like he came out with a plan that he was going to do drop shipping, and then it ended up that the drop shipping store didn't pan out for them.
Yeah.
So they were just like, all right, we're going to pivot to the Amazon, and then that blew up. So like with consistent work, you're going to have to also be able to pivot, and like you're going to hit a roadblock somewhere. And so these guys just like hit a roadblock with a dropshipping store. They learned about Amazon, put everything into it, and that was their last hope. Yeah. That was basically like the last straw. Like if that didn't work,
we had less than 1,000 in our bank account, and it was do or die.
Yeah, if that didn't work, then they'd be going back home and recuperating. So like that's the point, So if you come out here, you think you're going to do affiliate marketing or whatever, and it doesn't work out or whatever, maybe you're going to learn SEO and like that takes off for you or whatever. So just be prepared for that. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what could happen, especially it's business. Like you really don't know. So
yeah, which is why it doesn't need to be a set decision. Oh, I'm totally going blasting out full time. It can be just try it out for a while. That's why I always say every January, come to the Nomad Summit. Come indefinitely. Ideally you have your same job you can go back to, or a backup. You can always go get a job. That's the thing. You can always go get a job back in the States. So come out, try the remote work for, give it 3 months. If you're like, nah, it's not for me. Okay, cool. Great. You just tried something that like, it was a 3-month vacation, let's say. Most people never in their lifetime do a 3-month vacation.
Take the sunglasses
Most people never in their lifetime ever spend 3 months out of their home country combined. So like do a month in Chiang Mai and then do a month in Bali. Do 3 months in Chiang Mai, 3 months in Bali. Okay, either you want to go back home or your online business is not panning out. Then you go back home. Think of Jacob. He went back to work for his dad. Think of Eric Engels. He went back. He came to the Nomad Summit for 3 months. tried his online business, had to go back to the Arctic tundra of freaking Montreal and like do this snowmobile business, like shoveling snow, like he was telling me. I have an interview, Eric Angles, look it up on my channel. And he came back out to Nomad Summit next year, and then his business caught on, and then he could stay. So some people get lucky, their business works, you know, within X amount of months, some people not, but like don't make having an income online already set up hold you from going to get this travel abroad experience. Like, just do it for the travel and living abroad. You're still working on your side hustle, all right? If your side hustle catches fire while you're doing this live abroad experience, okay, great. You can continue doing that if you want to do that. If not, then okay, it was just a sweet 3-month live abroad experience. Go back home and keep saving on your job, working side hustle. But I think everyone would agree, definitely start working on your side hustle nights and weekends during your job. And that's where you're going to have to do it. Nights and weekends, lunch breaks, mornings, whatever works for you. Start working on your online business for sure now. You know, there's nothing to stop you from doing that now. And if you don't know what business model to choose, like I said, go take my beginner's course. It will explain everything and you can choose one. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anything else to sign off?
Nope.
Cool.
No, I mean, yeah, just, I don't know. Yeah, everything he says is on point, you know. If you want to travel, come out here to do it. You're not risking anything. Just make sure you have enough to cover your ass while you're traveling. It's not really a big deal. You know, the worst that can happen is you just go home, or you maybe even book a long round trip, whatever. You end up just back where you started, but with a wealth of experience, and you can also see if it's for you or not. You know, really is that simple.
Yep. Check out Chiang Mai. Check out Canggu, Bali. Those are the two currently right now, and probably going to continue to be the top remote work / remote entrepreneur hubs in the world. Amazing places. Peace out from Chiang Mai. Screw these kids. I'm gonna go get the fuck out of here. Peace, guys. Subscribe to all that stuff, and yeah, peace out. Let's go get some food.
Living that life. We just living that life. Talking plies, living that life. We just living that life. You're listening to the Living That Life Digital Nomad Podcast. Hit the subscribe button on iTunes if you're a boss, and check out the YouTube channel for dope travel videos.